They protect us. They defend us. They help us in times of need. But they're being destroyed from within.
Last year saw more Army suicides than any year on record.
Day
Our son was just one of thousands of veterans that this country has lost to suicide.
after day
Only to die here at home in their sleep.
after day.
He then used a pistol to take his own life.
There is a hidden enemy at work,
It's got to stop.
and it's hiding in plain sight. The most dangerous enemy is the one you never suspect. June 18th, 1940. Psychiatrist and Brigadier General J.R. Reese addressed the annual meeting of the National Council for Mental Hygiene with a strategic plan for psychiatry.
We must aim to make it permeate every educational activity in our national life. Public life, politics, and industry should all of them be within our sphere of influence.
But to reach their objectives, psychiatrists needed the perfect proving ground. One with an unlimited budget that could keep on growing.
It's all about money. Billions of dollars.
It's our tax money.
A proving ground with an endless supply of human resources.
More people than any other organization in America.
These troops are the guinea pigs.
They're being experimented on.
A proving ground where every order is obeyed, no questions asked.
You have to obey those orders.
You don't have an option.
I'm legally obligated.
And a proving ground where any collateral damage would be labeled classified.
This story has been censored every step of the way.
Brigadier General Reese knew where to look.
The Army and the other fighting services form rather unique experimental groups, since they are complete communities. And it is possible to arrange experiments in a way that would be very difficult in civilian life.
It was a shrewd tactic, especially when sold under the guise of help.
And now the soldier was sick, and unless we do something for him, he may remain sick for an indefinite period of time. Gentlemen, you are not requested to treat these patients. You are directed to do so.
Psychiatrists used the Second World War as an opportunity to try some very risky treatments on soldiers who had very little say in the matter. They were electroshocking some, putting others into a deep coma, and filling yet more with powerful, mind-altering drugs. As they infiltrated further and further, they became involved in military recruitment, training, discipline, morale. They were even making opinions about the selection of officers.
Poole is an odd sort of man. In civilian life, he was very badly adjusted. In the personal sense, that is, he just couldn't mix, couldn't make friends.
By the middle of World War II, militaries around the world were buying into psychiatrists' claims that they were the mental health experts. And because of that, psychiatrists were free to try out drugs on a lot more soldiers.
The drugs of choice are the barbiturates. You will note that in combat exhaustion, massive doses of these drugs are needed in therapy.
From the 50s through the 70s, psychiatrists in countries like Britain, the United States, and the USSR continued to use their militaries as proving grounds for an arsenal of new experimental treatments such as LSD.
Unknown to the troops, the drug was added to the water on the second day. At 11:40, the first effects of the drug make their appearance. The men no longer take cover, they relax and begin to giggle. 70 minutes after the administration of the drug, with one man climbing a tree, the troop commander gives up, saying, "I cannot do anything about this. I cannot control the men, and I can take no action myself. I am wiped out as an attacking force."
Up through time, soldiers continue to be given psychiatric drugs for uses never studied or approved. It's been one huge experiment.
We've gotten reports that the Gulf War II
pilots do take amphetamines. They do take dexedrine. And that at the nighttime they're given Ambien to bring them down so they can sleep. So they're continuously on this up and down kind of scenario.
Certainly in the Iraq, Afghanistan wars, psychiatry has played a huge role, huge.
The drugging of the military is off the charts, especially in the United States. From 2005 to 2011, the U.S. Department of Defense increased its prescriptions of psychiatric drugs by nearly 7 times. That's over 30 times faster than civilians.
There was friends of mine that I saw had 2, 3, 4 pills that they had to take daily.
You find soldiers that are on dozens of medications. I've heard as high as 14.
I know of some troops, personally, who were given up to 20 different drugs.
It's kind of depressing if you look at the number of medications that I've been on. It's very thick. It makes up a large portion of my medical file with the Veterans Administration.
Some American soldiers are routinely given up to 180 days worth of psychiatric drugs when they go to the front. No supervision, no restrictions, just take them when they want.
All psychiatric meds are mind-altering drugs. People don't put that together, but they're mind-altering, and they have side effects, disastrous side effects.
Psychiatrists know this, but still claim they are therapeutic. Here's the reality.
Ever since I was a little kid, I always loved the military. I loved the Army, and I think I always knew that I wanted to, join. And I just said, I wanted to go and experience it, and just to serve my country. And then I went to the recruiter station. I said, I want to jump out of airplanes and ride motorcycles. And right then they said, we got a job for you, But, I did it and it was good. It was right after combat. So, I started getting these dreams and flashbacks and all that stuff. And then, kind of like big anxiety and all that stuff. And I went to my doc and they said, yeah, we got to get you some meds, and they gave me them, and, that was it.
In my experience, I didn't see anything helping at all. I felt like it was making everything worse.
You take your meds and you can just start feeling it going down, and then you're just like, bam, and you're a zombie.
It almost seemed like he just didn't care about life anymore. He wasn't himself.
My body was breaking down, and my wife, she's saying, this isn't right. And then I was all drunk, and the meds just taking that and I just said, I'm done. And I took my pistol, put it in my mouth, and she opened up the door. I took him, and I said, I said, we could do something, and this shit just didn't work, and
I had to literally grab the weapon away from him because it probably would have happened.
That's why I said, I'm stopping. I'm stopping taking all this. It's killing me. It's gonna kill me. It's gonna kill my wife.
That was the straw that broke the camel's back. It wasn't working, and something had to be done. I didn't want to lose my husband. I didn't want him to kill himself, and I didn't want to be killed as well in the process.
I knew I wasn't me. It was the drug that was doing it, and I knew I had to change or I'd be dead, and that's why I changed it.
Despite all this, psychiatrists continue to hand out psychiatric drugs in volume. Drugs well known to increase violence and suicidal thinking.
And last year, within the DoD, there were 349 suicides among military personnel. That's almost one a day, literally one a day.
That's more suicides than were killed in combat. And as bad as it is in active duty, Veterans have it far worse. They're killing themselves at a rate of 22 a day, 1 every 65 minutes. Immediate action is needed, not just in the United States, but around the world.
I deal a lot with a lot of our soldiers within our NATO brothers and sisters. Canada, New Zealand, Australia, UK, Germany, France, Belgium, and even soldiers down in Italy and even in Spain. Each and every one of them have complained about the issues dealing with psychotropic drugs with them.
I was stationed in Germany for a while. I was in Kosovo for a while. And they had talked about that, yeah, when they see the psychiatrist, they do give them psychotropic drugs.
A lot of our veterans have told us that when they went for help whilst they were still serving, they were then prescribed medication, it didn't help.
Quand on envoie un patient chez un psychiatre, il ressort directement avec des molécules chimiques.
І справді, психіатри давали військовослужбовцям небезпечні наркотики, при цьому знаючи, що військовослужбовці мають в руках небезпечну зброю.
Och någonstans så finns det ju någon drivande orsak till att vi skriver ut mer och mer piller. Men vi får ju inte förväntade resultatet.
Psychiatry is now an accepted part of militaries internationally. But for the world's soldiers, it is nothing but trouble. More British soldiers and veterans committed suicide in 2012 than were killed in battle. Same thing for the relatively small Australian military over the past decade. 20% of the deaths of German troops abroad are from suicide. And the Russian military has a suicide rate 65% higher than the rest of the entire country.
So, what is the solution? Get rid of psychiatry and mental health. Don't leave them in charge.
Mental health will not improve until psychiatrists are no longer in charge of it.
I truly believe that they are destroying our military.
Statistically, you are less likely to be shot by an enemy than to be killed by a pharmaceutical drug. That's the truth about psychiatry.
And yet, psychiatry's reach today goes well beyond the military. It is just as J.R. Reese planned. Psychiatric treatment tested out and advanced within the military, spilling out into every nook and cranny of civilian life. Psychiatry is currently an international $330 billion a year industry. It promised help. It delivers pain, damage, and death. The hidden enemy has now been revealed. What happens next is up to all of us. You've got the facts. Fight back.